Baltimore-based Christmas.
Welcome to the Pina Comics S.F.A. 80's Christmas extravaganza. I'm John.
And I'm Joe.
And we're here to talk to you about a science fiction, fantasy, and or action movie made in the 1980s. And this one here has a little bit of a Christmas tinge to it. We decided to put this out initially. We were gonna do this recorded and then put it out on Christmas Day for a nice little Christmas Day treat. You finish unwrapping your gifts, and if, hey, I want to watch some Pina Comics. And I got to be honest, like putting recorded stuff up on Facebook Live, I have not figured out yet. So I said, Joe, let's just do this early in the week. We'll do it as like a live special. The S.F.A. 80 series, we have done all of these so far as video specials. We started off with Space Hunter. We went to Best of the Best. We went to Steel Dawn. That was the last one we did. Now we're doing tonight's movie, which is, if you can't see the background behind us, Trancers from 1985. And then starting next month with the Pipe Movie Invitational kind of coming off the roster, S.F.A. 80's is now going to the audio podcast. I did 2 episodes with Stu, I thought about it too. I know, I love you, buddy. I thought about it, and it was just such a last-minute thing. And I know that I figured you were probably seeing Spider-Man 2 more times this weekend. I didn't want to bother you, but we love you, Stu. So S.F.A. 80's now is going to be part of the audio podcast. I did 2 episodes with the guys, Marcellus and Joey from So Wizard, Vanilla Faces. And it was just great to do that. So in January, you're going to hear the first of 2. I'll give one away. The first one we did was 1982's Megaforce. I'll leave the other one as a surprise. The other one, actually, funnily enough, no one will know what it is, but it'll still be a little bit of a surprise. Joe, how are you? Are you ready for Christmas? I know you've got a little kid. That's got to be super exciting. Do you pretend to be Santa Claus? Do you dress up? Do you go into chimneys? Do you do dangerous shit, Joe?
I do not, because I would just kill myself. We're pretty excited. We had, around here, Santa comes by fire truck. You hear sirens all around the neighborhoods, and he drives by. We also have... my wife's trying to set up Santa to come by boat, but I don't know if that's going to work. Come to our neighborhood pier, but we'll see if that works out.
Joe, you know you're making yourself sound really bougie when you say neighborhood pier. I just want to say that. I don't want to throw you under the. Yeah, we wanted Santa to come by the yacht slip, but he was, he said I have other kids to see that week.
Yeah, the 50-footer is just going to roll around to the pier.
Oh, look at that! Wow, apparently. I know you're in Baltimore and Stu's in Pittsburgh. That fire truck Santa was in our neighborhood. I don't think up in Connecticut, any Connecticut viewers know of a fire truck Santa. I don't have kids, so I guess it would be even spookier if I knew about that, like them coming around. But I have never seen this before, so that's pretty cool.
I hadn't seen it till we moved here, because it was slightly outside of Baltimore now. Yeah, it was a lot of fun last year. It was loud as hell, though. You just hear sirens all over town nonstop, and someone goes on next door. What are all these damn sirens? They're all scared, and they just roll through town. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I don't think we need 2 Santas, but my wife is determined to make every kid happy in the neighborhood.
There you go.
Twice.
John from Shocking Things says there was one in East Haven. Okay, all right. We say hi to Holly. In my day, Patrick says Patrick's out in Jersey. Santa was the one who started the fires. Yeah, that's not a surprise. That's not a surprise at all. Out there in the swamps of Jersey. No, it's just me and Joe. And and Holly refers to the birthday boy. So I will go over here and put this up. Very happy birthday to Larry Dwyer. That design was done by our buddy Chris Frodell. I loved it. I saw it online today and said I have to show this. So I shared it, and I wanted to throw it up here as well. Larry is a spry 26 years old today, and we love him. A friend, a collaborator, and truly a great guy. Before we get into this movie, a couple of things to talk about. If you have not listened to the latest episode of Pint of Comics, John, who just commented before, was the guest, episode 220, Problem Child. There he is, that little bastard, Junior. And this coming up week, the episode will probably be dropping on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So a gift for you, maybe, if you look at it that way. The second to last Pint Movie Invitational, featuring Shawnee Mack from Horror News Network. It is the Hitchcock thriller Rope. You can't see it there because of the comment, but yeah, it says episode 221 Rope. And if you've never seen that, we refer to it in the beginning as the gentlest murder on screen of all time. If you've never seen it, I urge you to see it because it's a good movie, very interesting, and B, it is the gentlest murder ever committed on screen.
I mean, the rope's not even around his neck in that picture. So
the movie literally opens with them strangling him to death, and it's like three guys like almost like hugging. It's really weird. It's really weird. Larry has the same birthday as Peter Criss. All right, I didn't realize that. Jimmy Stewart, yeah, versus Leopold and Leb. Essentially, it is. Yeah, I tried the whole episode not to slip into a bad Jimmy Stewart impersonation, and I never do. Spoiler alert. Rope is my favorite Hitchcock. Okay, interesting. All right.
I've never seen it. So anyway, before we start, I like to rep, Mid-Atlantic Pint of Comics. I got my Christmas shirt on, which is, you see the one-eyed little character there. That's the Natty Bo guy. He's a very Baltimore thing. There's a National Bohemian beer we call Natty Bo. It's sort of a local beer that's only for Baltimore. It's been around forever. And I guess I'm trying to think, I don't know if there's a Connecticut version, but you could think of it as Narragansett
Oh,
for
okay.
Baltimore.
All right.
That kind of thing,
Yeah.
like whatever regional beer. It's delicious until it hits 37 degrees, and then it's terrible.
So it's got a temperature cutoff.
It's got a temperature cutoff. So,
Okay.
but
That's
I
fair.
like it a lot. And I wear like all these, all the clothing. I also have my adult eggnog with the Christmas cup, and my ice cube, my cocktail ice cube, which you can't see, is the Death Star. So
Wonderful. You're better than me. I don't have anything really holiday on today. I've got my my argument with myself hat, Chris Frodell's site, and I have my I can't point to the right side. My I Love New York Ninja pin on. If you have not checked out New York Ninja, go to vinegarsyndrome.com. Fantastically fun movie by our buddy Kurt Spieler. Great story behind all that. So, Joe, we're talking about Transfers from 1985. Had you ever seen it before?
no. And growing up, we had multiple video stores to check. It's the kind of movie that I saw the box for constantly and never rented it. But that's why I was excited to watch it because it's actually funny. I thought I knew all these S.F.A. 80's, those ones you have coming up. I haven't seen that. I'd never seen Space Force or Space Hunter.
Space Hunter,
But
yeah.
yeah, I'd always notice this, the box. A lot of those movies from the 80's that I remember that I haven't seen are all from the video box at the video store.
Oh yeah.
And can you put up a picture? Do you have a front facing picture of the cover there that's behind the screen?
I can make one. Give me 1 second, and I know that was kind of terrible. Give me 1 second, and I can add one in here. I think. Yeah, here we go. So if you want to check this out, and this is also one of the most horribly misleading, like posters ever.
Yes, that's what I wanted to put it up.
Yeah, none of this ever appears in the movie. The helmet, I don't think, no, it definitely doesn't ever appear in the movie, and the gun is different than any gun we get in the movie. So this is definitely not very representative of the actual Transfers film.
I was kind of surprised. I was expecting more sci-fi, but
well, there's a lot of sci-fi elements in this thing. It's just it was made on a pretty and Patrick tried pretty low budget. Art LaFleur, who passed away. We're going to talk about the cast in a second. This has been a favorite of mine for a long time. One of the reasons we did this was on one of the original episodes of Pint of Comics years ago, like first 15. Sir John and I, who Sir John's a fan of this movie as well. This was in the day. Now I know it's still a thing, but in the day when the Die Hard is a Christmas movie thing was really heating up, and we had a discussion about other movies that, if you're going to go by that, like by the fact that it's Christmas involved, can be a Christmas movie. And we had both watched Transfers very recently, and we both brought up the fact that Transfers can be considered a Christmas adjacent movie if you want to go that far. The theatrical poster is a little closer. Yeah, I've seen the theatrical poster is different. At one point, this movie in production was originally called Transfers, then changed to Future Cop for a while, and then released as Trancers. Future Cop is obviously a much more straightforward title. You don't really know what Trancers is unless you watch the movie. Future Cop, you can just say, "Oh, he must be a future cop." Um, so a little bit about this movie. Charles Band was the director on this. This guy made 1,000 low budget. He was kind of a Roger Corman-y guy in the 1980s, right? He had Empire Pictures, and then he transitioned after that, kind of shut down into Full Moon. I was a big fan of that stuff. I used to rent that stuff like crazy as a kid. Puppet Master came from there. Um, Obviously, Trancers, the Jack Death character, Doll Man. You got stuff like Robot Jocks, Empire Pictures as well. And then he loved the mismatch stuff, right? So like he would take Trancers for Jack Death versus Doll Man, and or stuff like that. Doll Man versus Puppet Master. There was one subspecies was like this long running vampire one, and they were really low budget, but they were really fantastic. Let's see, what is Patrick is got it. Patrick just beyond. Band vowed to make 2,000 movies by the year 2000 and came closer to any human being dared to. That is absolutely. He set up a production company outside of Rome and just kept on farting out these movies left and right. Crash and Burn. There's so many of them.
Forbidden
Meridian,
Zone
I
is
think.
one too.
What was it?
Forbidden Zone is another one I never rented, right?
Forbidden Zone, Zone Troopers.
Oh no,
And
sorry, Zone Troopers. I meant to say Drone Troopers.
and,
Yeah.
and a lot of these Zone Troopers starred Tim Thomerson, Art
Yep.
LaFleur, who we're going to get into in a second. So
Yep.
Charles Band directed this. He didn't direct a lot of his movies. He produced a lot of them. This is one that he directed, written by Danny Bilson and Paul Demaio. You might know these guys because they went on to do some big stuff. The 1990 Flash CBS television show they were writers on. The Wrong Guys, which was a movie I loved in my youth. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Joe. Tim Thomerson, Richard Lewis, Franklin Ajay, Biff Maynard, a lot of people that were in this movie. Louis Anderson. They play a group of scouts who, as children, kind of, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time, failed to pass their last badge, and it's somehow hindered all their lives in adulthood. So what do? They get together, they go to get the last badge, which involves a wilderness retreat, and they run into a couple of escaped convicts. It's very lighthearted. It's very fun. If no one's ever seen it, I definitely suggest it. Castle Freak is another one, as John says. That was pretty popular. That's my sister-in-law Bonnie waving. She's in that room right over there right now. She's in the same. She says this the calls from inside the fucking house.
So I'm actually impressed. They did a couple good movies. Did I see that they did The Rocketeer?
Well,
The guy
yes,
wrote that?
that's
And
what I was
then they
getting
wrote,
to. They did the Rocketeer. Yep.
and then the Five Bloods, which was just recent. I was
Yes.
kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, these guys, they're actual screenwriters that started in this small little. This was, I think, their first or second feature they wrote, and now they've been doing a ton of things. Bilson at one point was the actual writer for the Flash comic book series back in like '07. Eliminators. I've never heard of that. You may
I've heard
also
of that one.
you may also know Danny Bilson for another one of his famous projects that he put out into this world, Rachel Bilson.
Yes.
He half created Rachel Bilson, so good for him. So yeah, these guys have been around, and like you said, The Rocketeer, which is one of the best period / superhero movies, adventure movies of all time. Of all time. Check out the
I'm with
poster
you.
for Eliminators. It is amazing. I'm going to, Patrick. I'm going to, and I'm going to no budget superhero film. I'm going to check that out for sure. All right, so let's get into this, Joe. Let's talk about the cast. Who is in Trancers?
So first off, I just want to say I think I found the budget as 400K estimated.
Sounds about
Uh,
right.
I think because I found one website with a little trivia in there. It is filmed December 3rd, 1984 to February 23rd, 1985, and released May 22nd, 1985, which is the Wednesday before Memorial Day, which a whole bunch of stuff was released then. But I don't think I found a listing on Box Office Mojo, so I couldn't get it. I don't think there was any numbers
No,
on that one.
I watched a documentary on the DVD that I have after I watched the movie today. Short 20-minute documentary, and Charles Band basically says that like they didn't even really ever plan on it having a big theatrical release. It was just to get it out there and get it to the video market. It did get released to a small amount of theaters, but like minuscule.
Yeah, yeah. And so it stars Tim Thomerson as Jack Death. And is this before Megadeth form? So they use the ETH, right?
Yeah,
He's in
I
Megadeth.
think this is a little bit before Megadeth. DETH, yeah.
And of course, he was in 5 of the 6 transfers. I think he wasn't in 6, as far as I could tell. But we've had 6 transfer movies. He's 5 of 6. I think he did a lot of TV shows. He was in Metal Storm. He was the dad in Iron Eagle, which he didn't really do much but get rescued
He
at
was
the end.
the chopper pilot in Uncommon Valor. If you've ever seen that one.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that one. I missed that
Yep.
one. Yeah, I love that
He,
movie. I watched that
he's
recently.
Yeah, I watched it last year again for the first time in a while, and I'm like, that's fucking Tim Thomerson. He's also the dad in the great vampire movie Near Dark, the one looking for his son, with the daughter. That's Tim. Tim Thomerson started as a stand-up comedian,
Yeah, I
and
read that. Yeah.
yeah, and he had the looks of a leading man. He just never really became a leading man. And this movie proves that it's too fucking bad because he's so good in this. And yeah, he's a good looking guy. He has that Steve Martin thing where he went gray way before he probably should have ever gone gray. And that was kind of one of his like things, right? You know, that's what you think about Tim Thomerson is you never saw him with dark hair. Like he has dark hair in bits of this movie, but it's obviously, dyed black.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, not only did he go gray, I don't think he looked like maybe he hit the sauce a lot because he's supposedly like he was 38, 39 in this when he's filming this,
Yeah.
and he looks a lot old. I didn't look. He looks older than I do now, and I'm well over 39. So
Yeah,
I was,
he definitely looks older than 39. He definitely looks older than 39.
yep, who's Harry Crumb? I remember that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. Okay, interesting.
And so also we have Helen Hunt as Lena. Mad About You, obviously the big one. As good as it gets. She was not. I don't know if she win the Oscar. I forget, but she was nominated for that.
I don't remember.
Uh,
Twister, right?
Twister, yep,
Yeah.
Twister. My favorite of her, I guess, is credits is Angel Dusted. It makes me laugh as a PSA in the late 70s, early 80s, where she was all about, those things where everybody was dying, all the kids were getting hurt in all these movies. And she got so high in Angel Dust, she flew out a second story window and landed
She's.
on the ground, right?
I'm 90% sure that Larry showed or used to show that at his shows, like in the trailer section, because that sounds really familiar, and I feel like you got a laugh out of the crowd, which
Yeah.
is terrible.
And I thought she was basically young enough to be Tim Thomerson's daughter. He would have had he
There's
was 18 years, so this borderline.
there's definitely a
Yeah.
little creep factor in there. There's definitely a little creep factor in the fact that they're porking each other, and he's 39 going on 56, and she's probably 22. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, moving on. Michael Stefani as Whistler. Uh, I, I guess I don't know what to mention about him. He really didn't have a pretty big career, as far as I could tell. Some Mission Impossible, Bonanza, a lot of guest spots. But I think he did this one, maybe and some more. But like, he's not very notable. And I thought he was a pretty good bad guy in this one. So I'm sort of surprised he didn't have a better career.
Did Whistler also play Weisling in this? I couldn't tell. Like they only show Whistler the one time when he's on the hologram. Is he also Weisling, his ancestor?
Yes,
Is it the
yes,
same?
yes.
It's the same actor. Okay, I
Yep,
thought so.
same actor. Yeah, because everyone looks the same after your ancestors for 300 years of breeding.
I like that science of transfers is that everybody looks the same. Yes, he does play both. Thank you, Patrick.
And Art LaFleur as McNulty, not from The Wire. He's been in a lot of stuff, right, in the 80s and probably beyond, but he was in Zone Troopers also with the same cast. Probably a little spot in Maverick. He was in The Sandlot, which I don't remember him in Sandlot.
He's
But he
Babe
was
Ruth.
oh, he is? Okay. I totally
Yeah,
forgot. And then Cobra, I mean, obviously seems like the very um, sergeant type
yeah.
character in the movies, but he also was in the Blob, which you did
He's
88 Blob, and he's the
he-
pharmacist, right? The
he's the
ribbed,
pharmacist. Yeah,
the ribbed,
yeah,
right?
the condoms. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Art LaFleur, who just passed away, which is very sad. He's one of those. That's that guy, right? Like he's
Yeah,
the character actor's character actor. Art LaFleur has that weird physical thing where he's like kind of an overweight guy, but still has like that jarhead look. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, he looks like he has too many pounds on, but he still somehow has a square shaped head. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean he's a good thing. You always see him. That's that guy. I think it was pretty good. He's always does his job. We have Ann Seymour as Chairman Ashe. She didn't really have a big career. He had a lot of shows, but apparently she wound up in the Field of Dreams as her big role.
Oh, because it's
Oh
Patrick
yeah,
Swayze.
LaFleur was a baseball ghost too. You're right.
Wow.
Um,
Was he the
man,
ghost of Babe Ruth? Like, was he Babe Ruth 2 times?
he was all Babe Ruth until John Goodman took over.
Yeah, he was going to play Babe Ruth, and then they hired John Goodman. He's like, I've already done this shit twice.
I don't want that big paycheck. I can't take it.
Yeah.
And so, boring note or fun note, whatever you look at it. I went to college about an hour from the Field of Dreams. Never visited it because I'm not actually a big fan of the movie.
Yeah, but Joe, you're an hour away.
I
You're in
know.
Iowa. What the fuck were you doing with your
Playing
time?
football badly.
Yeah, so like at one point there wasn't one weekend in 4 years of college that
That's
someone
true.
didn't say, "Let's drive an hour to fucking North Dick Poke and go
We
see the
should have.
Field of Dreams."
Yeah, and I had some friends that are actually from the town, and I still never went. But
You're
yeah,
burying yourself even further with this story, Joe.
I mean, I didn't visit the bridges of Madison County either. So,
Well, okay, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that.
uh, and then Biff Maynard is Hap Ashby. He did a lot of these, these type of movies. I think he was in the sequels. And I guess every time I get something wrong, Patrick, please weigh in. He was
Yeah,
in the
Patrick.
Zone Trooper. Patrick's memory is straight up there. And then he was in the Flash TV show too, I think. So I remember that show. It didn't last very long, but it was
1 year.
pretty
1
good if
year.
I remember. Yeah, no, it was they
It,
obviously took the Batman vibe, and maybe it was just too expensive production.
it rode the wave of Batman '89. It had that same type of suit. John Wesley Shipp was good. Yeah. I believe Patrick Strikes. I think in the second transfers, he is now like a successful businessman. Like he's turned his life around. In this movie, he's a bum basically. Um,
Yeah. Well, we can talk about why he had to change his life around, which I have some
yeah.
thoughts on. I have some thoughts on that. And then we have Richard Hurd as Chairman Spencer. Uh, you think he's Carl Malden. He was Wilhelm in the Yankees, or Wilhelm in Seinfeld for the Yankees.
Yep.
I really thought that was Carl Malden playing that part all his years. I mean, he
So
looks just like Carl Malden.
so here's a joke going back to an older episode of Pint of Comics about 2 years ago. Our buddy Shawnee Mack on his first Pint Movie Invitational picked Gleaming the Cube. Gleaming the Cube. And we did that. And Richard Hurd is the villain in it. And the whole time we discuss how it's like Carl Malden's the villain in it. So you're not the first person to think that Richard Hurd and Carl Malden might be the same guy. And
Yeah.
Patrick is right. He was the evil alien leader in V, the
Oh, nice.
miniseries and the final battle. Yeah.
I love V, and a bunch of other small parts. I think he had a decent part in Sequest, DSV. Now
I've
it's
never watched
2032.
that.
I was in college. I didn't watch much. I like Roy Scheider a lot, so I was tempted, but then I was like never got around to it.
By the time you got to it, they replaced him with Michael Ironsides, and you were like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this."
Well, I just never. I just like.
It lasted like 5 or 6 years. That show lasted longer than I think anybody remembers.
Well, remember we did Fright Night and they had Herman's head, and we didn't realize that lasted like 3 or 4 years.
That still blows my fucking mind, man. I thought that was a 1 year thing.
And Telma Hopkins as engineer. Of course, I forgot to write down the name for that, but engineer so and so. Patrick, please tell me. I forgot to type that in.
When you say Thelma Hopkins, all I can think of to say to you is just give me a break, Joe.
Yeah,
Give me a break.
it's just, I
Like
don't give you a break. I love that show.
I did too. I did too.
Which,
Nell Carter.
yeah, what was her part in Family Matters? I forget. Like
She was the aunt, I think.
she's the aunt. Okay, I didn't
She
see
always
that.
plays like the secondary. Like in Give Me a Break, she was the friend, and yeah, it was. I think he calls her Ruthie in the movie. He calls her it's engineer something, and he calls her
Yeah.
Ruth.
Oh, because they dated and I think they boned.
Yeah,
Right.
no, he certainly boned her. Yeah, yeah.
So I never watched a single episode of Family Matters, so I don't think I would have recognized it. I just saw that in there.
Oh man, Family
I
Matters
know.
was fun.
I mean, I know Urkel, but I like Perfect Strangers, but I didn't really watch a lot of that.
Family Matters was a spin-off of Perfect Strangers.
Yeah,
Her mother,
yeah,
Harriet,
yeah.
she was the elevator operator in the building that Balky and cousin Larry worked in.
Wow, that was the 80s. You have an elevator operator.
Yeah, but you don't have one in your house, Joe. You got a neighborhood pier.
Yeah. No, we do not.
Okay, all right, all
Not
right. Is
even a
that it for
dumb, not even a
cast?
dumb waiter.
No
Yep,
dumb
I
waiter.
think. Yeah, I don't think we have anybody else of note. That was a pretty small cast, I
All right,
think.
let's get
Overall,
in.
I don't. Go
Let's
ahead.
get into the bones of the actual movie itself. So, one of the things I love about this movie is that it starts in the future, 2247. They don't tell you that. I looked it up. They do mention that 1985 is approximately 300 years ago. So 2247. And it's a future world. We're in Angel City. Okay. One of the things I love about this movie is that there's a lot of backstory and a lot of like current world building that they don't spoon feed to you, but it's so well done that you understand everything that's happened, right?
Right.
So Los Angeles is now Lost Angeles. It's under the sea. Okay. Angel City must be like the outskirts that survived. Where we can get off world because they're being off world is mentioned right off the bat. Um,
If that
and
opening scene is off world, is it not? Or the opening scene is off world, or no?
no, the opening scene I think is on Earth. I'm pretty sure it's on Earth. So the opening scene starts off with a car pulling into a this neon diner, Mom's Number 3. It's called, and we get our first viewing of Jack Death, the Tim Thomerson character, who is black haired, and it's all slicked back, and he's walking inside this diner, and everything is very bright and neony. He goes inside, and there's a kind of a truck drivery looking guy at the counter, and then this older black woman is the like the cook, aka or slash waitress of the place. And he comes in, and right off the bat, he orders coffee. And what does she say to him when he orders coffee, Joe?
Real stuff that'll cost you, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're already getting an idea that like things are not the way they are. And he says, "Give me, he goes, I deserve it. Get me the real milk. None of that soy shit." So like we're living in a world that we know is much different than the world we're in now.
Which is impressive because I didn't realize that 80s had a lot of soy milk was already starting to
Yeah.
permeate.
When he said that, I was like, "Wow, did they predict the future, or was soy milk a thing in '85?"
I mean,
Um,
I'm sure it was, but we just, now it's getting bigger because we have a boatload of soy in this country, so might as well make it into milk.
let's do something
Uh,
with all that soy.
yeah. Having lived in Iowa, there's a lot of soy. I'll just say that. It's what they plant other than corn. Um, so what I find funny is the opening scene was not at all Blade Runner. Just kidding. Like he
Y-
narrates and then never narrates again. He rolls in.
Yeah,
He's got the film noir look, and it's like they have 1 minute of narration and no more narration the rest of the movie. But
yeah.
I think you can see the homages they have in this movie to Blade Runner and of course
Oh,
Terminator.
this is certainly somebody certainly came to Charles Band at some point and said, here's a script," because Demaio and Bilson and the documentary I watched, this was a pre-existing script that they rewrote. So it wasn't their original idea. They said a lot of the stuff was reused. The idea of time traveling through an ancestor wasn't their idea. There was other things as well. But obviously somebody had just seen Blade Runner and said, "Okay, let's get this kind of like cool idea of somebody that's hunting down something that's not quite human." All
Yeah.
right, Joe, what's a trancer? What do we learn in that opening dialogue is an actual trancer?
It's a weak-minded person that can be controlled by a one-man whistler, and he can sort of take control of their mind, and they do whatever he says. And I still haven't figured out why. Once you figure out the transfer, their faces change all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They could have just not done that and just started fighting, but they kind of reveal themselves pretty quickly.
So in the opening
Yeah,
yeah, trancers are 23rd century
yeah,
QAnon. Uh, in the opening scene, Jack Def has that one narration, and he basically says, back in January, off world, I singed. I love again the little dialogues that they use that that's how they say killed. I singed Martin Whistler off world, and now I'm basically looking for all the transfers that are left over. And as you said, transfers are essentially his zombies, as Brian is saying here. made zombies, zombie mode, his followers. He gets up and he tests the trucker guy, and says, "I'm here to give you a transfer, at TSC they call it." Um,
Well,
very
TSE is a test of spoken English, so I don't know what that's
well.
what the
No,
difference.
he says it. Right? He says a
Oh, the
transfer something something. Oh, I know, I know. But
yeah.
there was actually I can't remember what it was. So he puts this bracelet around him. It glows, and okay, you're clear. You're not a transfer. But then what happens, Joe?
The waitress is a trancer and
She
starts
is
fighting.
she is hardcore, man. She goes from being this very nice, kind of cute older lady to like fucking. She's just got canker sores all over her face.
And she's almost has super strength compared to the other trans. She's
Oh,
like jumping over the counter.
she jumps over the counter. The truck driver dude splits. Right, he takes off. Another little minor thing about this world I liked is that when he leaves, there's like this box, and he pulls a lever, and it's like an alarm for the police. So it's like dialing 911, except a giant like light beacon shoots into the sky, and like so the
Mhm.
police know that something's going on there. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought that was a little nice touch. I mean, that was shows at least they had some thought into the script and not just going straight up B as they had
yeah,
little
well,
touches that were cool.
again, these are the guys that went on to write The Rocketeer eventually. So we know that this is in good hands overall. Yeah, he gets into the fight of his life. Trancers bite. There's nothing about being bitten and turned to a trancer, but she's biting his arm. She's
I
messing
know.
him up. Eventually, he gets the better of her. He pulls out his little ray gun. He blasts her. And Joe, when you blast a trancer, what happens?
They
When you,
dissolve and they a little bit of like a red outline.
yeah,
They sort of singe, dissolve, and then leave a mark on the ground.
they leave a stain on the ground.
Yeah.
So
I
he
don't know
gets
why he
up.
didn't just shoot her right away. Like he could have point blank got her before she jumped over the
Well, we
over the
had to have
counter.
that. We had to have the fight, Joe. He knows that. He knows that. Yeah, they never go into the mechanics of transferization. That's fine. It's actually fine that it's just kind of like left out there that these are the subservient, you know, uh, people to Martin Whistler, right? He goes to leave. He gets stopped. We get a spinner coming in. Oh, sorry, that's Blade Runner. We get a floating car comes in, and it's Art LaFleur's character. What was his name again? He's
McNulty.
McNulty. He's like the police chief, and he comes down and he tells him, you just can't keep going around, wasting transfers, and Jack Death says, you know what, then fuck you, I quit. So we kind of get the end of that scene there. We jump ahead a little bit of time, and Jack Death is in the sunken depths of Los Angeles, uh, basically going underwater and coming out, and he pulls out the Sunset Boulevard sign and gets some barnacles off there. McNulty comes back to him again, and in the long run, Joe, what is it he tells him? What makes him? Because at first he says, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not a trooper anymore. I don't have to do anything you say." But what words make him go, "Okay, I'm back"?
Well, the council wants to see him. So, oh, but he can go after Whistler. Spacing a bit.
Well, he says Whistler's alive because he's
Yeah.
under the impression that Whistler's been dead. He killed Whistler. So the council
But
wants to see him, and there's a reason. Do you remember the reason, Joe, that the council is so hot on wanting to see Jack Death in terms of what's going on with Whistler?
Well, he wants them to go back in time to catch him and bring him back for trial, I believe. But what I'm finding crazy, if he singed him, how did he come back alive? We have no idea.
Yeah,
Like
well,
if he dissolved in there, I mean, his consciousness would have gone somewhere, but it's the same body, you assume.
yeah, you got to wonder if it's a case of
Yeah,
maybe he shot him and he didn't die and he didn't realize it. You think he
he
would
went
have
away.
stayed and waited for the body to turn into a pile of shit, but he probably just took off.
So you
So
remember, like, Los Angeles is like underwater,
yeah,
and you could even say that's like they predicted global warming. But also, remember back then, the '80s, everybody was saying that the once the big one comes, the San Andreas Fault, the LA is just going to go into the water.
yeah, yeah.
And I also thought that was at the beach from the end of Planet of the Apes, because it looked like that rock formation was pretty similar. I don't
Oh,
know
I
if
don't
you
know.
noticed that.
Maybe there was a homage to it in there. I again for a $400,000 movie, possibly. I thought it looked pretty good. I
Yeah,
like on Blu-ray, it looked pretty good when they kind of showed that kind of like matte painting view of him coming out of the water. you know, and he's on this beach. So he goes back to the council, and he finds out that Whistler survived, and that time travel also is not like a secret in this world, because when he's told that Whistler time traveled, he's not surprised. He
Yeah.
and they use the term down the line. That's how they talk about time travel. Um, so what happened was there's this council of 3 people. There's only 2 of them now. One of them was murdered, and the way he was murdered was very Looperish. If you ever saw the movie Looper, but very very far ahead of Looper. Whistler has now traveled back in time to 1985, and they can pinpoint it to 1985. He has a ancestor in 85 called Weisling, who's the police chief. And the way you time travel is you lay it out on a table, they give you a drug, your consciousness flows back in time and wakes up inside that other body of your ancestor. Jack Death has an ancestor in 1985 Los Angeles, and the 2 remaining council members and the one that died do as well. And the way the one that died is that Whistler found him in the past, killed him, and wiped out his entire line. His kids, his grandkids all cease to exist. So the 2 remaining council members do not want this to happen, obviously. So they send Jack Death to go save them.
With the
First thing,
modified 38 special, which how would they have that classic gun 300 years from now, but also a little compartment in the in the handle with all the antidote to send them back
right.
up the
So
line.
he's got a modified 38 special. Inside the handle, he has 2 antidotes. He injects himself with the antidote. His consciousness will leave the 85 body and come back to his body. The second antidote is for Whistler. He gives Whistler that antidote, and Whistler's mind comes back to his body. But what's the problem with Whistler's body? Because they found Whistler's body. They didn't have it. He did his thing somewhere else. They found it. They're now holding it like, imprisoned. But what's the problem now with the body, Joe?
Well, Jack or uh, Death actually just shoots him and singes him right there and destroys it. Right?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
blows him away because they tell them, we want you to bring him back so he can stand trial for his crimes. And he's like, if I'm the one going back to do this, we're doing it under my terms. My terms are, and he blows him away. And one of
Yeah.
my favorite scenes in the movie is when he shoots Whistler. Whistler explodes like machinery. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
shoots him,
He's like,
his chest goes ba-boom. Now you're like, was Whistler a robot? Is that a possibility?
maybe that's how, or he's a cyborg. That's why he was able to survive being shot.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
possible, very possible. So what is the other piece of plot armor he sent back with, Joe?
A
Because it is
watch
plot
that
armor
can slow down time.
for 10 seconds.
Yes.
It's the long second watch. So you hit a button, and for
Boom.
10 seconds, you can move around at normal speed while everything else is slowed down to a crawl. This happens twice in the movie, and at the 2 most convenient times. I'm not going to hold it against it, but because it's still cool. It's still cool, but it's
Yeah.
total plot armor, right?
Yeah. I mean, it worked. I have some gripes, but didn't they run out the first? Well, we'll get that later when he runs out the first time. I thought
He,
they have two different shots of. I thought he had 10 seconds, but then they burned it the first time.
no, he gets a refill.
Yeah.
He gets 1 watch, and then when he comes back at one point later,
Oh
he
yeah.
asks for another one, and they give him another one.
Why don't
So
you send him back with like a whole bunch so he looks like the people selling the fake watches?
yeah,
Stack
yeah.
'em
Well,
up.
he's already wearing the jacket, right? He's got the trench coat
Yeah.
on.
I mean, if he just did the whole thing on slowed time, he could have captured everybody before, or saved everybody before he even figured it out.
Look, Joe, this movie is 77 minutes long. All right,
Am,
we're
am I
we're
overloading again?
you're overloading, and we're barely cracking feature time on this one.
Yeah.
We don't need to end it any faster than it ends. Okay, 77 minutes long. This movie
True.
is. This is the shortest movie you're going to watch in a long time.
No, it was an hour and a half on Tubi, so it strikes
That's because Tubi gives you the commercials. I watched the Blu-ray, 77
me.
minutes.
Yeah, I know,
It's short.
and he still
So
could have cut some out.
you're right. You're right. One thing I will say about Transfers that I've always said, and I love this movie, I'm going to give it a great review at the end, is you're right. Patrick's right. We do need more 77-minute features.
Yes.
Absolutely. Totally. I agree. I do think Transfers is a better movie in the first half than it is in the second half. I don't know if you agree with
Yeah,
me on that, Joe. I think
I'm with you.
really enjoy
Slows
this movie.
down.
It does slow down a bit when you get towards the end, especially when you're 77 minutes. They really work hard on the relationship stuff that can become important and does in the sequels, I guess. But like here, I don't know if if it should be the focus. So they give him the time travel drug, and he wakes up mid shave, right? Mid
Yeah,
shave into Phil Death, his ancestor Philip Death's body, who is the same actor, Tim Thomerson, now with all gray hair, and he's a journalist in Los Angeles. That's all we ever really know about this guy, other than he fucks girls that are too young for him because he's got a drawer of Polaroids
yeah,
of he's a creep. He's
yeah.
certainly a creep. And he's waking up basically next to, well, not next to, she's getting dressed in the other room, a very young Helen Hunt getting dressed in a like an elf costume because it's, again, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's Christmas time, right?
Well,
Uh,
also, like, if his name is Death, they make several jokes. People say your name is Death, but the ancestor's name is Death. So would
yeah,
people already think it was weird?
yeah. It would have been nice if they had just added that little, like, his last name's like Deathkowski or something,
Yeah,
like, but no, it's just Death, which is just such a hardcore last name. I love that there's one scene where Hap Ashby at the end, who's like, who's like this
yeah,
hobo and drunk. He's like, "Is your name really Jack Death?" And he's like, "Yeah." He
yeah,
goes, "That's a dumb name."
yeah.
I thought that was great.
So I like
So
how Ellen Hunt is like, did you call our lovemaking like the beauty, whatever?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the most beautiful thing, a meeting of two souls or whatever. He's like, yeah,
he's like, yeah, and he's like, "I bet you it was." Like he's
yeah,
like, "God damn it." So she's begging him to get her to work on time. She's obviously like some kind of mall Santa helper, and he's just trying to get acclimated. So he has a picture of the two um, ancestors he's got to save. One of them's a photograph. One of them is a baseball card. Um, he's got to find these people. He's got the gun, the antidote. He's got the watch. He finds a trench coat, which is very much like his trench coat. He wears it. And then before he leaves, Joe, what's the last step he has to take? And do you remember the reason why?
because is it dry hairs for squids or whatever? Is to grease up his hair?
Yeah, so he takes a handful of like some kind of pomade, and he puts it in his hair and he slicks it back. And she goes like, "What are you doing?" And he looks at me and he just goes, "Dry hairs for squids."
Squids.
And it's just this great line.
That was a pretty
Um,
good line. That was like a pretty. That was a good, probably one of the best one-liners there in the movie.
we find out later that squids are weak-minded people that are easy to trance. So there's a little bit of story to that too. So he gets her, he takes her to her mall job. He drives her entirely too fast to the mall. She's creeped out by him because he doesn't remember her name. He's not the same guy.
Well,
And
it's never
she's
happened, I'm sure, at a one night stand.
yeah. So she's
Who
trying to
hasn't
rush.
forgot
She's
somebody's name?
he's just like she says her name and he's like, it's Alana, right? And she's like, get me the fuck out of here. So they take off. Oh wait, here we go. Hold on one sec. I read somewhere that the Coen brothers had George Clooney slick his hair back and Oh Brother We're Out There. As if that is true, that's awesome. I always think of that movie with my hair. What was it? I'm a Dapper Dan man. um, so he gets her to the mall, and immediately one of the things I love about this movie, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Joe, is anytime a movie goes to an 80s mall, right? It's just wood paneling. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like a 19 if you told me right now I could time travel to the past and I could either go to really important moments of my life or I could go to certain places that I just want to experience again, I might go to the places again. Like I
I'm
know
with you.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I might want to go to the movie theater that I went to as a kid all the time. I might want to go to the Meriden Square from when I was a kid and just see that again. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, you have to in Meriden Square. You have to watch out for the Latin kings. They're hiding under cars, cutting
yeah,
people's Achilles
cutting
tendons.
cutting the tendons. Yeah, that was more of a recent thing though.
Uh,
Um, I don't know if it was so much when we were kids, but no, seriously, whenever a movie ends up in a 80s mall, like yeah, Patrick lied, it wasn't true. I figured it wasn't, but god
Damn it,
damn
Patrick.
it. Patrick facts. Last year during COVID, I watched Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. which I had not seen in a long time. And there is a very long action sequence set in an 80s mall. And I just watched it. And I went, oh man, I miss 80s malls so much. Like, old tape stores and hey, look, there's an Orange Julius. Things we don't have anymore.
Yeah, Stranger Things definitely plays tribute to the malls among everything. Commando, remember the Commando? They have the scene in the mall and Arnold swings on the
Yeah.
giant balloon
Yep.
and hit the arcade. Yep.
At the arcade, Roy Rogers. Yeah. I mean, it's just yeah, guys hiding in the back of the car with axes. Yeah, there's some creepy stuff going on. Definitely some creepy stuff going on. But yeah, so he goes to the mall and she is going to be taking pictures with Santa. And Santa has this one kid on his lap, and the kid is saying all the stuff he wants. At one point, he says one toy twice. It was like John Doe Mandroid. And I wanted to look that up if that was a real thing. If that was
Well,
real.
they
But
had a lot of project placement that was real stuff. You wonder if they just, he said Mr. Potato Head, I think,
he
right?
said Transformers, Decepticons. He said, I want a
Yeah,
Transformer and I want a Decepticon. I
yeah.
don't know if the
I think he
writers
said
understood that was not necessarily a toy itself, but a subset of the Transformers, but that's fine.
Roy Rogers made a comeback. Yes, it has.
Not where I am, man. Roy Rogers, all in the Connecticut area, became Arby's, and I'm sad about that. Is the Mandroid's a character in Eliminators? All right, interesting.
Are
I'm
you sure
sad about that.
you're not lying, are you? Or about Roy
Yeah,
Rogers? He's not lying about Roy Rogers because we have him in Maryland at least.
no, Patrick's in New Jersey, and Roy Rogers are all on the highways up there, I believe. Um, I miss Roy Rogers for one reason. Roy Rogers has what may be the best, or had what may be the best fast food chicken sandwich ever. It was called the Gold Rush Chicken Sandwich, and I'm
I
going to
don't know.
describe it to you right now. All right, if you've never had it, you got the bun, breaded breast of chicken, two pieces of bacon, and then this like honey drizzle sauce on top of it, and then a piece of cheese, I believe. Non-rest stop. Patrick, can I'm saying like a newscaster. Patrick, can you confirm if the Gold Rush chicken sandwich still exists? And the next time you come to a Cult Classic show, can you bring me two of them? And yes, I think Spielberg, Wally is right. Roy Rogers is better. I'm not going to say Barf Bees because I do like Arby's, but Roy Rogers is better. Absolutely, Roy Rogers. Yeah, Pete knows. Everybody knows. Roy
Well, in the
Rogers was.
South and the Midwest, they became Hardee's, and
Isn't Hardy's
Hardee's.
Carl's Jr.?
I thought it was it. I thought it was. I mean, maybe they use the same buildings. I don't know, but like I think Hardee's had good food if they cooked it, not disgusting restaurants that were dirty. Like I think if they actually took the time to cook it, it was good. But it's just disgusting fast food.
Okay.
But but
Stu,
if
Stu says Arby's is bottom tier fast food. I'm not
yeah,
going to agree with that. I'm not going to agree with bottom tier. And I think we did.
Hardee's is bottom tier just because they don't take any pride.
Okay. We did a video this year, maybe in the springtime, of our favorite fast food places. And I think I remember Stu mentioning his disdain for Arby's as well. Back then, it wasn't on my top 5 for sure, but they have some good stuff there. The jalapeno poppers are pretty good. Joe firing shots is Hardee's, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see.
That's all we had. We had so many of them in Iowa that I just got grossed out. I couldn't eat them anymore.
Last time I had Arby's, I had a sandwich with a piece of gristle that was like rubber. Brian, I'm sorry, man. I never went back. Well, I wouldn't go back either at
The
that
big
point.
beef and cheddar. No one wants the big beef and cheddar.
I like the big beef and cheddar. I do. I'll admit that. I was well, maybe like 6 months ago, I could have said I was this many years old when I realized or someone told me what Arby's stands for. Right? Never knew.
Well, I'll be this years old then if you
Joe,
tell me.
put your seatbelt on because I'm going to blow you through the back of your fucking chair. Arby's, right? RB, roast beef. That's what Arby's stands for.
Well, that blowing up my mind just to feel like, why did I know? I mean,
Well,
it's
I mean,
interesting, but I'm like,
exactly.
why did I know that?
Let's see. Pete says Patterson Travel Plaza, New York State Thruway, Pattersonville, New York, 12137 for I guess a Roy Rogers. Arby's makes good milkshakes. I agree. They have that the mocha one I like. And Arby's roast beef is jellied slime with a faint beef aftertaste. Wow, Arby's is getting a lot of hate on this stream. All right, let's get back to transfers. So they get there. the kid's telling him about the Mandroid, the Decepticon, and as what happens, Joe, as soon as Santa Claus, all right, who's not like a guy dressed like a fat guy, Jamocha, John's right, it's the Jamocha shake, very good. Not a guy dressed like a fat guy, but an actual fat guy. And also, when you see him, he's one of those actors you go, I know this guy, right?
Yeah, like I just didn't go far enough down the list, but I recognize that guy totally.
Very familiar.
And
But
it
as
wasn't
soon as
Captain Lou Albano.
no, as soon as he sees, he's got the kid on his lap. As soon as he sees Jack Death, what happens, Joe?
He turns into a trancer. His face,
Trancer,
boom, like that.
Trancer, fucking all of a sudden, purple, rough lips, canker sores all over the face, and he goes on a fucking, he goes on a rampage, and we have this huge fight. A gun gets pulled out in the mall. Shots are being fired. As I watched this movie, I thought they would never make this movie nowadays where there's a shooting anywhere near in a mall with kids and like a mall Santa. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, my daughter's coming to say goodnight.
Oh,
sorry.
That's okay.
Oh. So the whole family's here.
Everybody's here. Did everybody watch Trancers?
No, nobody else watched Trancers.
Does everybody hate Arby's or Hardee's?
You hate Arby's, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Confirmed.
All right, confirmed. Confirmed.
Come on, Rose.
Love you. Good night. Oh, and notice everything she wears is frozen.
Well, yeah. Let it go.
No. Well, also I like how Santa pins him to the wall with antlers.
Antlers,
Perfectly.
right?
Instead of stabbing him, he just gets pierced. He's like can't move. The antlers are holding him back, even when the Santa lets go.
I thought about that. I thought about when he gets pinned to the wall with the antlers, how deep those antlers must have been in that wood paneling for him not to be able to pull it out. So eventually, Chris is on Team Arby's, and Chris is a great guy. And from the bottom of Chris's heart, he says, "Fuck you" to everybody that doesn't like Arby's. Chris enjoys Arby's.
I don't. I'm not going to judge anybody what they like.
It's fair.
It's fair.
It's fair.
Like it. I mean, how about Long John Silver's? Let's start again.
We only have one Long John Silver's anywhere I can think of in Connecticut, and I've never been there. And it's one of those things. It's like I think like a 3, like Long John Silver's, Taco Bell, and maybe Pizza Hut. And it's like it's unfriended block. It's like it's further than I would want to go for fried fish.
Yeah.
Just Arby's has curly fries. Yes, that's their thing. Bonnie, I think Arby's is known for their curly fries. And I got to be honest, if I ever Plainville, that's what I'm talking about. If I have to be honest, if I'm going to a fast food restaurant and it's curly fries or regular fries, I always want regular fries. Curly fries are not that exciting to me. I think curly fries is more like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, cool, they're corkscrews, and it just doesn't matter anymore, right?
Well, how about waffle fries? Not a fan.
I like waffle fries. Chick-fil-A does waffle fries, but I don't go to Chick-fil-A because I have reasons. And the few times I went, though, they did have them. Yeah. Waffle fries, yeah. Robert Barron's likes them. Okay, so Jack Death, he gets the best of Santa Claus. He shoots him and kills him. We have this terrible scene where a little kid goes, "He shot Santa Claus," and I'm like, this movie would never be made today, or this scene wouldn't make it.
Well, this is the reason why they took the guns away from mall cops, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. It was probably all 7 people that saw Trancers in 1985.
Yes. They happen to be the head of the mall cop, the mall union, the mall ownership group.
So Weisling, who is Whistler, the cop, comes in with his cops, and essentially they start investigating. And one of the strangest scenes was as the Santa is on the stretcher, he disintegrates because he's a trancer after he's dead. And then Weisling just tells the 2 paramedic guys, get rid of this. But those paramedic guys just saw that body on there, and they just pick it up. And there's no... I would have liked to see where they go, where'd he go, Sarge?
I was wondering. All of a sudden, it's really light. You pick it up. It's like, he doesn't weigh a lot.
That dude was
Ben is
easily
super fat. He
350.
weighs 0 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was 350, right? He was not going to... They were sitting over there on the other side going, fuck, I hope we don't have to pick him up anytime soon. Like, I just ate lunch. I don't feel that great right now. And then he
You see
disappears.
me looking at my notes. I have body bag lighter right here. That's why I'm scrolling over here looking down.
So they leave, and we get the idea from dialogue that he has explained to Alana. That's her name, right? Alana, am I right? Lena.
Lena.
To Lena, what has been going on. And, look, I'm from the future. I was sent back to stop Whistler. That was Whistler. Those are transfers. She kind of doesn't believe him, but he's like, has Marvin ever gone nuts and tried to kill anybody before? That was the Santa. And she's like, no. And he's like, well, there you fucking go. And you see his face, all the canker sores and the blood rage. So they go to the first picture person, the first council person's ancestor to try to save him. It is a tanning place, and the guy is the guy who owns the tanning place, and it's very California, very surfery.
His shorts are basically up to his balls.
Yeah, he's definitely got some fucking nut huggers on, and
Well, he actually looked like Steve from 90210.
you're kind of
From the
right.
years he was
Ian Ziering, yeah.
and he was so old that could have been him.
It might have, yeah. 1985, he was older than he was in 1993 somehow.
Pretty much.
He's Benjamin buttoning it backwards in time. So he goes there, and he basically tells him there's people out here to get you, and he says, "Oh, okay, well, let's go to my office." And as they walk to the office, Joe, what do we find out?
He does a near crane kick and knocks Jack down. And you find out he's a transfer now too.
Whistler got there first because
Yes.
Jack Deth dropped the picture with the address at the scene of the crime.
Yep.
Right? Not securing evidence. I'm not a cop, but that's like number one on cop day number one, class number one. Secure that fucking evidence, right? Jack Deth doesn't do that shit.
Why wasn't he waiting inside the building though? He was still outside. If he got there first and then they just waited and then didn't, could have sabotaged him in the building. But then he gets shoved into the tanning bed, which looked like a transporter or something like that.
Look, let me be totally honest with you, right? As a kid, I remember I went, like, for some reason or another, I did tanning sessions one time. I think we were going on a cruise or something, and my mom was doing them and said, do them as well. So,
Do tell.
yeah, you're not gonna get burned, right? Now, I am, as an adult, extremely claustrophobic, but I wasn't so much as a kid. The ones I did as a kid were what the fuck? Were the ones where you lay down. I know this is a weird story. Where you lay down flat and then they just drop the top over you, but it's still open, right?
I think that's pretty common. I've never seen the
put the glasses on. Well, yeah, to describe the one in this movie, Joe, because I got to be honest, it was giving me agita with watching this scene, because if you told me get in there, I'm going to shut the door, I would be like, no fucking way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because I have a little claustrophobic too, but I just see that's a lot of light, a lot of tanning light just from all angles. Like,
it's so hot in there. It's so hot in there when he leans on the metal door, it burns his fucking jacket. Only once though, conveniently. Like, so he locks him in there. They leave him in there to fry. Very James Bond villainish, because they could have probably just killed him with a shot to the head.
I'm a little surprised.
And Helen Hunt, Lena, who had left, she was waiting outside. She took off. She had a change of heart. She comes back. She comes in, and she finds that he has been locked in the room with a surfboard. There's a surfboard holding the door shut. She knocks it out of the way, lets him out, and he gets out. He's safe. They leave the back end of the tanning salon, and they are surrounded by cops. Whistler and all these cops. Now, you find out later that at least some of these cops are transfers, but I found this scene very weird too. So none of the cops know that Whistler is Whistler. They think he's Weissling, the chief of police. And as far as they know, they have a perp, on the other end of their sights, and there's 10 of them, and they have him held down. And he's showing no resistance whatsoever. I guess this isn't that weird now that I think about it with today's climate, but this is 1985. He just goes, fire! And they all just start shooting. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. 2020 cops, very possibly, but I'm like, boy, I think there would have been at least one cop going, Sarge, shouldn't we just like handcuff him and throw him in the squad car? No, he goes, fire. They all shoot. But we got to remember some plot armor, Joe. What does he use?
The watch.
The watch.
Slow down time.
Boop, he hits the watch, and now we got a 10-second countdown. and all these bullets are coming at them, but they're coming very slow.
I don't know. They're still
And
coming pretty fast, though.
they're coming fast, but not fast enough to hurt. Like they're like, doing
Yeah.
one of these things, right? So they're coming, and he decides, I've got to save Helen Hunt. So he throws her up over his arm, fireman carry style, and runs. And I actually do love the scene, and I do love the fact that they explain it after, because I wondered too, was when he runs by Whistler and they're like nose to nose and he's just staring at him. And in your head, you're like, why don't you just pull your gun out right now and just pop him?
Yep.
But he does say later on, because she asked him that he didn't want to waste any time saving her by killing him. He wanted to get her safe. So of course, then she fucks him. So I guess he wins in that situation. But he gets her to the car, and just as the timer goes off, she doesn't realize how they're in the car. The cops don't realize what happened, and he takes off, and they save that part of the day.
Also, did you notice that Lena had a Confederate flag on the back of her jean jacket?
100 and 1,000% yes. You only see it in this scene, and I thought it was so weird and so probably out of character for like this punk rock girl. Whatever she's supposed to be. But yeah, in that one scene when they're being cornered by the cops, and you get a full view of the back of her jean jacket, it's a rebel flag, and you're like, what the fuck? Like,
That's so weird.
It's so weird. So weird.
The 80s LA is not really rebel territory.
No. So they decide they have to hole up. That ancestor got killed, so that concurrent member of the elders, or whatever you want to call them, dies. So that's all over. Okay. Yeah, and to be fair, you're right. This was coming off the Dukes of Hazzard years. You're right. There was a period where this was like, I guess, we had a little bit of blindness to it, right? Or what it meant, real world ramifications. So she says, "Hey, look, my friend is out of town for Christmas in China, and she lives in Chinatown. Let's go hole up in her apartment, right? We'll go there. We'll hang out." Not a really nice friend thing to do, because essentially what she's saying is, there's bad guys chasing us. Let's put them onto my friend's apartment, and while we're there, maybe we'll have sex in her bed, leave some stains. Like, she's not a good friend, is what we're learning. Right,
it was an early Airbnb, because who doesn't leave stains in Airbnb?
just drop off your bodily fluids. I will take care of it when I get back from Denmark.
It's better than bed bugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Joe, I don't know. That's all right. Everybody out there, why don't you comment on that? Would you rather have bed bugs or someone else's semen on your sheets? Let us know. They're both
bed
bad.
bugs you can't get rid of. It takes
you can get rid of them.
Well, you get thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So anyways, this is where the movie slows down a little bit. Okay. Mm-hmm. We get like a little bit of the relationship stuff between them. She goes and gets some nice Chinese dinner. I thought one of the funniest moments. What about semen from bed bugs? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Sal. That's well played, my friend. They're eating their Chinese food, and she has the fortune cookies, and she says, he says, "What is that? A fortune cookie? It tells your fortune." He says, "Read it." She opens it up, and what does she say? It says, "I'm going to kill you and your bitchin' little girlfriend, signed Whistler," and he believes it. Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Also, I love Chinese food. That was made me hungry.
Yeah, I'm a big Chinese food fan too. Either one is a no-go from Bonnie. Wait, am I not supposed to have bed bugs and other people's semen? Stu, we'll talk about that later.
Well, maybe semen kills bed bugs. We have no idea.
Well, we don't know. You're a scientist, Joe. You're supposed to know all this shit.
I don't do insecticides very well.
No. All right. We did an episode last night where we talked about something that was me and Lloyd were talking about something, and I don't remember what it was, but he said when Joe hears this, he's going to chime in on it. It was something that had something to do with, there was an answer out there, and I'm like, well, Joe will work on it. He'll figure it out.
I'm waiting, so like in a month or so, I'll know.
Sal is currently working on the bed bugs and semen shirts as we speak over at Robert Barron's Inc. All right,
Sign me up. So,
so
and I think, go ahead.
everything slowed. I was gonna say everything
Yeah.
kind of slows down at this point, right?
And I like the other scene where now it's McNulty comes in as a little girl. I thought that was great.
That was great. I was a little weirded out by that scene for one reason. So again, we know that you can only travel through an ancestor. So just as Jack Death and Lena are about to start fucking again, this little girl comes to the door, but she has like a dubbed adult woman's voice. Did you notice that? But like, why wasn't it Art? What's this? Like, why did they just
Florida
give her a little
voice.
girl voice?
Well,
Because
yeah, because she's
let
not. I mean, she's still occupying the body. I mean, it's not. There's no reason it
right,
should be different.
right, exactly. And you're right. Thank God the little girl did not look like Art LaFleur. That would be frightening. So the little girl comes and basically says, "Hey, look, it's me, McNulty. I've traveled back in time. This is the only body I could occupy. They're pissed off. You need to come back right now." So Jack Death is like, look, can you give me a break here? I'm about to get some pee. And he's like, no, we're going back. He doesn't want to hear that. He's about to get laid. He picks her up. He throws her out the front door, right? Shuts the door on her. This scene confuses me greatly. He goes back over. He's about to pound Helen Hunt. And then the little girl climbs up over the bed rail and shoots him with something that like is like the antidote and sends him back up the line to 2247. How did she get back in again?
Yeah. Well, also when he went back, wouldn't Lena know that all of a sudden Phil was back? So he
No,
goes
because
back, and then
I thought the same thing. Let me ask you a question. You're Phil, right? All of a sudden you wake up and you're fucking Helen Hunt. Are you going to literally go, stop, what's going on? No, you're probably going to just finish off and then maybe afterwards go, I don't remember like the last like couple hours, you
I
know?
mean, I don't want to black out and wake up in Chinatown, but that's just
No,
me.
I don't either. But I'm saying he literally probably woke up like balls deep in her, and at that point he wakes up and he's just like, "Well, I might as well finish what's going on here."
Is this a
You know,
dream?
it's just yeah. Well, like let me just finish my shit, and you know, I'll put a line of my load on this person's bed sheet, whoever this is. It's like an Airbnb. It doesn't matter what I do. Robert Baron's open next week. Need to put it in order after Christmas. And Sal says Robert Barron's is open 24/7 for Pinto Top fans. Don't forget, if you go to the site, put in the code Pinto, you will get some form of money off at www.robertbaronsinc.com. The coolest, raddest t-shirts in the world. I just got Joe a couple for Christmas, and I think I picked out a couple good ones. Joe, were you happy?
I was happy, and I had another one I purchased, and it was great. If it wasn't Christmas, I'd be wearing one right now. But I have to show off my Baltimore cred. Next time I'm on, if we do a video like one, I'll wear Rubber Barons just so I can shout out because they're excellent. Everyone go there, buy stuff.
John just always has these links readily available. Pro streamer, yeah, that's me. If you want to hear more from that guy right there, it's swoproductions.com. He just put out a bonus episode. He just put out a bonus episode where him and his wife reviewed the brand new Spider-Man No Way Home. I listened to it. I have not seen the movie. I don't give a fuck about that movie. So I listened to it. Spoilers and all. Didn't care. Stu is so fucking into this movie.
Well, so now he's pissed off. He doesn't want that promo anymore because he loved it so much. He's mad you shit on it.
Well, and no, and I also told him, Joe. I don't know if I told you this or not, but I told Rob that Stu that the most recent episode with you on it, Catwoman, was I think one of his best episodes. You guys had a really good chemistry, and you made 40 minutes of listening to an episode of Catwoman pleasurable. And I've never seen Catwoman, and also I learned things like I never knew before listening to that episode because I never saw the movie that she's not playing Selena Kyle. I thought she was Selena Kyle.
So I actually did know that before, even though I didn't see the movie.
I did
was
not.
Kind of part of the reason it sucked and I knew it was bad. I didn't go see it, but I was kind of surprised. I had no idea. I had no idea why they did that, and so I was like, well, I know I should avoid it back then.
Ask Stu what he thinks of Mandalorian. Yeah. I don't know if Stu. I don't think Stu's a Star Wars guy. I don't think Stu's a Star Wars guy.
He was on Twitter doing one of his things, but his heart wasn't into it.
Oh, okay.
People gave him so much shit that he's like, yeah, I was just kidding. I could tell it wasn't one of his takes that he. He didn't
Stop.
believe it. He couldn't
Stop.
sell it.
Stop beating me up. Stop beating me up. All right, so they go to a punk club, right? He goes back with a refill on the watch. He goes back, and basically when he goes back in time, they tell them that they want to replace him because he's already lost another one, and they're going to send a guy named Quan, another trooper,
Trooper.
Quan, and he's like Quan's never even singed a transfer before, and again more kind of cool, like little backstory there. Um, and they're like, well, you got to get this job done, man. He's like, I will find Hap Ashby, who is the last descendant. I'm not going to let you down. They send him back. He goes back. We get more. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit. We get more of their relationship building. They go to a punk club together. Another bit of this being a Christmas movie is the punk band plays Jingle Bells, and they dance to it. He
That
protects
wasn't
her.
really that bad. I actually liked
No, it
it.
was good. It was good. He protects her from a ex boyfriend who's just kind of being a shit. Um, and they move on from there. They hear on the police band that Whistler now has this initiative that he wants to kind of go through Skid Row, as it were, in Los Angeles, and start doing a sweep. And Jack Death knows immediately that he wants to do that because Hap Ashby is a hobo living on Skid Row. He was an ex baseball player, and now he's a hobo. So this whole ending bit, Joe, can kind of be surmised. Like this is the last bit where I don't. The movie doesn't fall apart for me, but it just seems to kind of like start really fast, and you get a lot of stuff, right? Then you kind of get that slow little middle section where it's the relationship build between Jack Death and Lena, and then we kind of hit like the last like 15 or 20 minutes where it just kind of feels like super sped up. Did you feel the same way?
Was it 15 minutes? I don't think it was that long. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Like I thought they spent 5 minutes on Ashby's wind up with the bottle, trying to strike out the other bum.
the other bums? Yeah.
It kept going and going. I'm like, dude, throw the throw the glass, throw the bottle. I was like, that one lasted a long. I thought that's when I dragged. And the first time I was like, ooh, I kind of lost it there and spaced because I was like, I couldn't. That was too. They could have cut that one almost all the way out. Like you got to show he's a pitcher. I mean, he is from the baseball card.
Yeah.
And also when Jack Death says you got to turn your life around and have kids, did in the baseball card said the 1952 Angels at the beginning?
63.
63. So he's
63.
still like let's say 40 something. It's getting a little bit
Oh,
late to turn around and have a kid. Well, okay, that's the same age I had a kid, but
well,
still.
there's a difference between you and this guy, Joe.
Yeah.
First of all, you look great at 43. Hap
Well,
Ashby looks
I'm 47, but
right. But what I'm saying is you. I'm sure
yeah.
you look great at 43. You look great at 47. Hap Ashby, if he was 43, he's Wilford Brimley 43. He looks 69, right? Like when Jack Death gives him that whole
Like
speech.
43.
Wilford Brimley,
Yeah.
we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
was
Cocoon.
46. Was 46 in The Thing,
Yeah.
right? If you've ever seen The Thing, he was 46, and then the other half of it is he in Cocoon he was 52.
Yeah.
He was
I think it's
52.
49. It's 49. I thought
49.
that was only 3 years. That was only 2 or 3 years after the thing.
So let's say
Yeah.
50. Let's cut that with a true year. Say 50. He is playing the same age range as a ancient ass Hume Cronin and Don Amici, right?
Yeah.
And then the one I've always gone back to a million times is that the last Mission Impossible movie where Tom Cruise broke his foot jumping from one roof to the other, which was like 4 years ago, say. The big joke around that time was that he was the same age as Wilford Brimley in Cocoon.
Wait, are you thinking of Jackie Chan in Rumble in the Bronx? Because he
No, no,
jumped
no,
the.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
kidding. He jumped. He
Oh yeah,
jumped
yeah.
and he broke his foot, and they put that fake in the credits. You see, they put the rubber
Yes, yeah,
shoe
yeah.
over the thing. But well, the difference between me and Ashby is I'm like a high functioning alcoholic and disguise it, and I moisturize. That's why I don't have any wrinkles.
It's very, very high functioning. You've got it like in your beakers at work. You're like always like you're always stirring stuff, and it's actually just like a highball.
Yeah. You don't do that. I did that a long time. Well, I won't tell that story online.
Oh,
Don't,
John was John from Shocking Things the guy that got Stu riled up today? Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Oh boy, John took the Stu troll bait today. Diabetes.
Was it John that took the super not real troll bait on the documentaries?
No, that's Carlos from the
Carlo.
Insufferable Bastards. Insufferable Bastards. All right, let's try to wrap up transfers
Diabetes.
and talk a little bit more diabetes. So we essentially get to the end where they find Hap Ashby. They're gonna do everything they can to save him. They're gonna draw Whistler out. They have this plan, and it's to dress Ashby up like Jack Death and draw him out. It's kind of a shitty plan because he still shoots at him. Like he could have killed Hap Ashby. And Hap and ends up from 60 yards away, basically killing Whistler by throwing bottles at him, right? Or tomatoes. What is he throwing at him, Joe? He's in a
I think
dumpster.
it's like he's like cans of food or something and bottles and whatever.
Yeah,
But that was a really long throw.
Whistler's on the top of like a 3-story building, and some other jabroni I never talked to before. Okay, all right, as long as it wasn't John, I don't want to have to mediate between friends. So Whistler falls and goes down. They surround him, and this is the question of transfers I have for you, Joe. The biggest question of all. So Jack Death pulls the gun out and he opens up the handle. Right. By the way, he used the 10 seconds again to save everything during this scene to save
Helen Hunt from going off the roof.
Right. She fell off the roof and he does the 10 seconds. He goes down the zip line. He catches her. And then he's got Whistler where he wants him. He's going to shoot him. He's got the 2 vials of antidote, right? 1 vial's broken. So he can't go home. But he also, if he wastes the antidote on Whistler, Whistler goes nowhere, right? So what ends up happening here is he's going to shoot Whistler, right? Is this what happened? He's going to shoot Whistler, and they say to him, "No, don't do it," because Weisling has like 6 kids. So if you kill Weisling, if you shoot him in the head, okay, you're going to kill an innocent man, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you give him the antidote, it will just essentially exorcise the Whistler spirit from his body. That will just die because there's nobody to go back to, and Weisling will wake up. He chooses to do the right thing. He doesn't shoot Weisling. He hits him with the antidote, the 1 left, and you see him like kind of wake up and go, my lord, where am I? And now we're left with he's there. He's stuck now, right? And she comes over and says to him, that you're stuck here now, right? And he's like, basically like, well, with you, it's worth it. And they kiss, and the movie just ends immediately. But herein lays the question: does he not kill Phil death by doing that? Like,
yes,
he it made me really think. So he doesn't shoot Weisling in the head. He saves Weisling, right, from being, ending both Whistler and Weisling. Weisling is innocent. He's possessed. But he's fine with staying there. And I get it. I get that he can't do anything about it. But, like, I would have liked there to have been maybe, like, 77 minutes long, maybe, like, 10 more minutes where he somehow gets a note to the future and says, send another antidote back so I can come back. Because even though Phil is a dick, and at one point, Helen Hunt's character says, I like you so much better than Phil. It just, I don't know. It just kind of falls apart there because what happens to Phil Death? This poor guy is now trapped.
His consciousness is sort of, in the zones, whatever the forbidden zone.
Let's see
trapped somewhere.
Yeah, couldn't McNulty just come back and send him up the line again? I agree. And even Patrick says, I never got that. Wonder Woman 84 ripped. You know what? You're right, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, Wonder Woman 84 ripped off this Chris Pine hijacked someone else's body plotline. You're right. That's why time travel movies always drive you nuts, except for Back to the Future. You're right about that. But yeah, so if we're to believe that they ran out of pin particles, if we're to believe that Jack Death is staying to be with Lana, Phil is just like stuck like in the Phantom Zone. He's in that fucking piece of glass floating around.
That's what I meant to say. Well, didn't Whistler say that he was supposed to marry Helen Hunt and have the kids like it was one of these Terminator things? But I wasn't sure. He meant Phil Death was supposed to marry Lena, but I thought he said that Whistler said he thought Jack Death was supposed to procreate with Lena to make the next in the line. Did I miss that? Oh,
I don't know if I missed that totally.
he's up on the roof, but it was either somebody was supposed. I thought he said Jack Death was supposed to, but it just said Jack Death.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good. All right, so that's transfers. 77 minutes. We got it done in almost 77 minutes, but we're not done yet. We still want to rate it. We still want to talk about now this thing, Joe. Like you said, just about no theatrical release, but other movies did come out the weekend that it was released. So we're going to talk about what the top 10 movies the weekend that transfers was minusculely released at some theater in like, I don't know, in like Santa Monica, California.
So is it made the Cinerama, right?
The Cinerama Dome in in El Segundo.
So the top 10 for the weekend, the numbers were a little screwy in some of these movies because they'd been out for a long time, and then the total gross was sort of similar to that week, and I don't know what was going on. But anyway, what I have number 10 was Desperately Seeking Susan with Madonna.
For inspiration.
Yeah. I never saw that. Yeah, I don't.
No, me neither.
Number 9, so that was in his ninth. Desperately Seeking Susan is in his ninth week, roughly. After it got like 2 or 3 months, I sort of estimated the count. And number 9 is one of my favorite '80s movies, Just One of the Guys.
Oh yeah,
man, that could be like one of my top 5, if not. I love that movie.
Not top 5 for me, but it's a great one. It has one of the greatest lines of all time. Where do you get off having tits? Yeah. I love that line.
Everybody's just like.
Yeah.
Boom, here it is.
That movie is so 80s because it has so many of the 80s things like the horny brother character.
Yeah.
Joyce Heiser. Absolutely. Joyce Heiser was one of those actresses that was like mega hot in the 80s, and she did so very little. And Just One of the Guys is like the peak of what she did, and you never really saw her again. Oh, was she on the Flash show? Interesting. Laurie Singer did more. Laurie Singer was in Footloose and Fame and stuff like that. Joyce Heiser just kind of that was her one big like lead role.
I'm gonna go to an Airbnb right now.
leave a strip on some sheets. Okay.
Number 8 is Mask in his 12th week. It's still number 8. Some of these linger. I think this number's off anyway, if that millions. But Mask, by the way, Eric Stoltz and Cher.
Not the fun Jim Carrey Mask. The depressing as fuck Rocky Dennis.
Dern. I mean, that was a good cast. I mean, Cher, Sam Elliott, Eric Stoltz, Laura Dern.
Yeah,
I'm probably missing somebody else off the top of my head.
Jesus, that movie. That was like that was like an original HBO movie that I used to watch quite a bit. That was like one of my introductions into like a movie that made me cry. Like
I'm with you.
That whole obviously spoiler for a 40-year-old movie, but that whole ending where he just like dies in his sleep and she finds him. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
And then all the bikers, like, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. How all the bikers loved him so much. Oh, that movie is hard to watch.
I have my contact drops. I'm gonna put him in there, so it just looks like this is why I'm tearing up.
and yes, you're right. The Jim Carrey mask would be vastly improved if he died of a painful cranial condition at the end.
I mean, his face did swell up to turn green.
I don't know, Stu. I don't know. I might be. I do, man. I'll tell you. I hit a point in my life, maybe like 10 years ago, where it just got bad. I see something in. There's some movies that I can't even watch. I avoid watching them because I just don't feel like being that emotional at any point. I just don't want to do it. I can't watch. Yeah.
It depends. So I tend to cry when it's like guy things.
Me too.
Yes. And it's not like I'm not sappy about the merit, like the guy things. And if I'm drinking, then it's like I'm sitting there like.
Yeah,
the alcohol sort of adds to the tears.
Movies like war movies that are, will do
Saving Private Ryan at the end.
Saving Private Ryan, there so that movie's like 3 hours long. Let's just say essentially,
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
2:45 maybe. That movie has like mile markers for me to go. Right, like when Giovanni Ribisi's character is dying in the field, and when oh fuck, Adam Goldberg's character,
Oh
Goldstein or
god,
Goldberg.
that one hit me. That didn't make me
That
cry, but that would freak. Like it just made
Yeah,
me. Like I went home and I woke up middle of the night. Like Jesus Christ,
yeah,
like that was so tough. And
and,
then
and
Tom
yeah.
Hanks, and
Oh,
also
Tom
when like
Hanks.
Matt Damon's like this, I'm like
That scene
yeah,
at the end when Tom Hanks, or Matt Damon reverts into the old version and
yeah.
tells his wife, "Tell me I'm a good man." Fuck. Like, oh, Stu. Look, spoiler alert. It's a movie about a bunch of guys in World War II, D-Day, and it there's a lot of characters, and a lot of them don't fucking make it. Um,
I
Bonnie
saw that in the
says,
theater. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna
Bambi
say,
and the
Bonnie
Lion
says
King.
Bambi and Lion King.
Oh,
Sal, Fox and the Hound. My wife
oh
picked.
yes.
My
Oh, I
wife
love
picked
Fox.
Fox and the Hound to do as a Pint movie invitational years ago, and I just never got around to it because I've never seen it. I read the synopsis and I just don't feel like being depressed. I actually bought it on Blu-ray because we were going to do it, and I just don't feel like it.
Yeah, and what's the line? 'Cause I keep saying "Friends" the end, but that's Child's Play. But when they do the line, I was like, oh, I do Fox and the Hound. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite Disney movies, and I just tear up every damn time.
Yeah, I literally cried everything, and
The Germans
it's
are the bad guys.
yeah.
But
when
yeah,
you when
so
you get it when you get a good sports movie too, like a good movie that you know what I mean, like that kind
Field
of
of Dreams.
yeah,
I
Field of
actually don't. I
Dreams.
don't really love sports movies that much. I could want to watch all these true stories like We Are Marshall and the one about Don Haskins and UTEP, and I just like end up not really
For
caring that
me,
much.
you know what it is? It's like you said before. We said the war thing. It's the guy thing. It's the bond
Yeah,
thing, the brotherhood thing. And when you get a movie, yes, I cry at the end of Field of Dreams too. I mean, I think almost anybody, that had a relationship with their dad, maybe, that will get you. That will get you. There's a few. There's definitely a few.
yeah.
Oh, the end of Glory. The end of
Oh
Glory
yeah.
is like, yeah. I'm done for a while. I'm done for a while because that is one of the most brutal endings of a movie all the time. Fox and the Hound and Charlotte's Web. Um,
Mm, mm,
Fox and the Hound
yeah.
has the same moral lesson as Milo and Otis. You can't be with friends different than people with you. And you know
See,
what?
he's doing it. He's doing it. Don't
Well,
take the bait.
I don't know, man. I kind of read the synopsis, and it seems like that's kind of like maybe not the
Yeah,
moral, but that's what that story is saying in that particular instance. Is that you're a fox, I'm a hound. We can't do this, and it's like no, fuck no. Like you can do this, and I guess the movie ends where they're not friends, and
yeah, because he's
that's
wild.
but that's but that what I'm saying is like it's a
Yeah.
Disney movie. That's where you go past that and go, but we're gonna see past all this shit, right? But no, they're still not friends.
Well, so in my neighborhood, we have a lot of fox, and the last week or two, they always come out in the winter a lot more. And my dog, who is half dachshund, sees the fox. They're not going to be friends. So.
Well, well, Joe,
The dogs.
I'm not looking for real world and cartoons, you know.
Well, they have like you get one of these videos, like the dodo videos that come on Twitter, and I love those animal videos that they do. That like, oh look at these, the pig and the
Oh,
bear are
I cry,
friends and
dude,
shit. Yeah,
I cry at all those. I cry at
there's a
all
fox
those.
one. Oh yeah, and like the fox one.
The
Oh
fox where he's all emaciated.
no, it was the
Uh,
yeah, where he's rescued and then he's a baby and he's playing with the other dogs and then oh god, don't look up the one with the elderly fruit bat. That'll make you tear up.
I, I I'm an asshole because we watch YouTube, and I'll watch one of those, and it's like the descriptions like frightened stray is found and loved by family, and I watch it, and it's always sad, and it's always like she was 2 pounds when we found her, blah 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 blah, and it always ends up happy. But no matter how happy those stories all are, there's always the beginning part where it's like this dog found under a pallet in the middle of fucking Guatemala, and
Yeah.
it's elderly fruit bat. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it. No, you've seen the who's seen the elderly fruit bat? Yeah.
I've
Oh
never.
god.
I don't think I've ever seen Watership Down, and I don't think I ever plan to because I've heard it's like brutal.
It's violent.
Yeah.
It's more than sad. But yeah, I watched the old version, and I read the book a couple years ago. Watched the old version and the Netflix version.
Holly says never again to Watership Down, I guess. All right, Joe,
Okay,
let's move
number
past.
seven.
Sorry,
Number
sorry.
seven. Number seven. Police Academy 2, The First Assignment. I think it was that they already started the PG-13 because man, it turned into a crock of shit after
That was
one.
the first
There's
one
like
with,
6 of them.
that was Zed. That was Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the bad guy in that one, yeah.
And man, it just turned to a pile of crap after the first one. Number 6 is Beverly Hills Cop, which I didn't even count in weeks because it already been out for 6 months.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's like ranked high in 1985. It's number 2 because we did the list in 1985 during Fright Night. So that's number 6. Number 5 is Gotcha. Like I never
Ooh,
watched that in Anthony Edwards.
I
With the
did.
playing the paintball, but it's like
Yep.
actual.
Yeah, he goes to a college where is that Tag, the assassination game, or was it Gotcha?
I
I
thought it
think
was
that's
yeah.
because there's two that are very similar. I think he goes to college, everybody plays a game, and then of course real murder happens.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought
and
Gotcha was paintball, but I need somebody else to confirm that because I never watched it.
and yeah, Patrick's right. Linda
Oh,
Fiorentino and Gotcha.
wow.
Linda Fiorentino is
I need
yeah,
to watch that now.
yeah.
Okay, number 4 is and that was Gotcha was like the 4th week. Number 4 is Brewster's Millions that opened. That was the first week.
I just rewatched
Uh,
that like maybe 4 months ago.
I don't have any interest. I don't know. How was it?
It's I enjoyed it. It's not one of Richard Pryor's funnier movies, but it's Richard Pryor, John Candy.
Yeah.
I'm always like kind of interested in the mechanics of how would you spend, whatever it was, like I fucking can't remember now.
30 million. He spent 30 million in 1
30
month
million with
to
nothing to
get
show for
300,
it.
right? Yeah.
Nothing to show for it.
I'm really I forget, but like, why didn't he just buy like a bunch of food and donate it or something? I don't know.
There was probably some rule. The beginning of the movie when he first inherits it is like 10 minutes of actual rules. It's Hume Cronin on a video telling him all the rules, and he's like, and before you think you could do this, so I'm sure there was a rule about food.
Well, I'll be a rule. I just transfer it into a Swiss bank account and they'll never find it. Just leave with the 30 million.
Yeah, he can only give away a certain amount. Yeah.
Number 3 is Code of Silence with Chuck Norris.
Oh, Chuck Norris. I don't know if I ever saw that. I just remember the poster. He was like in a black outfit and like it was his headshot, I think.
I'm sure I saw it. I thought it was Canon, but it's Orion Pictures. Number 2 is A Video Kill. That was the first week. It actually opened up on Friday. Everything else that was the first week opened on Wednesday. This one opened on Friday, Memorial Day weekend. Number 1 is Rambo.
Of course.
Which is, Rambo is like the third over the all year. So,
View to Kill, the first Bond movie I saw in the theaters. If I want your opinion, I'll get it out of you.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't see A View to Kill in the theaters. I think my first one was Living Daylights.
Worst Bond ever. I disagree with that, Holly. But you're right. The theme song is in the top 5 Bond theme songs of all time.
I think it's the worst one. It's close. I didn't really hate License to Kill.
No. Neither of the Daltons are in the bottom.
Oh, it's like one of the the late 90s ones.
License to Kill and Living Daylights were good.
Yeah, it's late 80s. I love License to Kill. But
you're
Pierce
thinking
Brosnan.
Die Another Day.
Not enough and Die Another Day and all these. Ugh.
They were all too young for Bond, Holly. Any of those women should not have had their hands on Roger Moore at any point.
It's worse than the difference between Tim Thomason and Helen Hunt.
Yeah, Tim Thomason. Well, a very old-looking 39-year-old Tim Thomason.
Look at this hot take. Whoa, Patrick.
I hate the Daniel Craig movies. Well, that's fair. He's not the only one I've heard say that. I'm surprised you don't. I like the Living Daylights.
I like Living Daylights. I love that.
Pierce Brosnan is the worst Bond. See, I won't say he's the worst Bond, but his movies got progressively worse because GoldenEye is really good. GoldenEye is a really good Bond movie. And then the next one, Tomorrow Never Dies, is just kind of like, eh. And then the next one after that is kind of like, eh. And then the last one is just like, it was garbage. The invisible car and all that shit.
Well, remember he was supposed to, it was sort of like his birthright in the mid-'80s and they got stuck on Remington Steel.
Yeah.
But my friend who does he did a Bond podcast going through the movies, and he's have found that Timothy Dalton, they offered it to him at age 23, like when Roger Moore was still doing him, and he's like, I'm way too young, and then he was in his late 30s by Living Daylights. Fun fact.
Man with the Golden Gun is the best. It's a good one. It's definitely Christopher Lee, right? It's a good one. All right, so number 1 was Rambo. I've never been a huge Rambo fan. I love First Blood, and but Rambo I always thought was like such an overindulgence in 80s like kind of bullshit excess. Like,
Anti-Russian, very jingoistic.
Yeah.
Just like Rocky 4. I mean, I like
Yeah.
Rambo. Rambo 3 was stupid. He's fighting alongside. Turns out he's fighting alongside Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right, Joe.
Although
It's time.
the 2000. Oh, go ahead.
No. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was saying the 2007 Rambo was awesome. Even my
Oh,
wife
no.
likes
I enjoyed that one when he kills everybody with the 50 cal at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Don't besmirch Rocky 4. Rocky 4 is.
No, I wasn't besmirching Rocky 4. I'm just saying it's jingoistic. I liked it. Although, talk about crying. Oh my God, when Apollo Creed died, I was like, I went home. I was like, that hit me for a whole day.
Oh well, in Rocky 3 when Mick dies.
Yeah.
That's brutal. Because Clubber Lang pushes him or whatever, and he has the heart attack, and when they go to oh man, yeah, and then actually all of Rocky Balboa is sad because it's about this guy hanging on to nothing because he has nothing left. Yeah, there's some sad shit in the Rocky movies. Interesting. All right, let's rate transfers, Joe. I'll let you go second. I'll go first. 77 minutes long, right?
I don't want to go second. I want to go last.
Okay, you go last. 77 minutes long. It barely rates as a feature film, but again, as Patrick said earlier, we probably should have more like 80-minute feature films.
He's
you
right.
know, I think that Transfer's biggest crime is that in 77 minutes, it has the pacing problems that it eventually has. Because it starts hot, man. The first 40 minutes, from the future stuff to him initially coming back in time, meeting Helen Hunt, the mall, all that stuff is just moving along.
Exactly.
And it's so well done. And then we get to that middle part, middle end part, where we kind of focus on their relationship solidifying, which we didn't so much need. And, just the last 15 minutes of the movie or so, where they're looking for Hap Ashby and the final conflict with Whistler, it's just not as strong as what came before it. That being said, I think for a super low budget movie, they do such a good job of making it a lived in world. Bilson and Demaio, again, deserve all the credit in the world. Again, Bilson did that too. But besides that, he wrote The Rocketeer. He's done some really great stuff. So I'm going to go with a solid 4. I think Transfer's get a solid 4 because no matter what, pacing notwithstanding, I think it's a fantastic movie. Very Christmas adjacent, as we said. She gets him a Christmas gift. There's a Santa, a mall Santa, all that stuff. And it was a fun one to do for this time of year. So I'm going with a 4. It could be a 4.5 if they either lengthen it a little bit and pad it out the end with some more stuff, or if they they couldn't shorten it, but just changed a few things in the middle there. Not spending 10 minutes solid on them kind of falling in love, which I guess is important in the end because he stays.
But lots of movies do that where the people fall in love and you don't even know why.
But those movies are 2 hours long or hour and 50 minutes long. This is an hour and 17 minutes. This movie is a fucking ninja of a movie. It's got to get in and get out and be done and silent and quick. And it just doesn't have the time for that, in my opinion. So Joe, scientist of Planet Comics, the man on the side of science, the man that tells everybody what to do. Oh, by the way, before you give your rating, I do want to throw this out there. And we did it on the episode we recorded yesterday. And you'll never hear me do this because we try to keep, this stuff out of it. But I am currently under COVID protocol. I don't know if I have it or not. I don't think I do. But I got sick the other day. I did the right thing, got a test. I'm waiting on a test result. Fucking go get vaccinated. Wear your mask. All right. I don't ever try to push that out there on Pint of Comics because I respect my listeners and your personal choice is your personal choice. But for once, I'm going to just be here to give you a fucking piece of encouragement and say, let's end this bullshit because we're going into 2022 and it feels like we're still in 2020 somehow. And I'm tired of it. And obviously, me being, what's the word, pissed off about it is the least of anybody's problems because a million people have died. The world has changed, but let's just fucking do something about it. So if you've been thinking about it, even if you've been thinking about it, and you're saying to yourself, I need one more person to say, go do that. Can I be that person? Joe, can Joe be that person? Just go fucking do it. Go get vaccinated. Get us out of the Stone Ages. I want to be able to do stuff again. I want to live in a Joe will be the first one to depress you and tell you that we're always going to be in a COVID world from now on. And Joe's a very smart guy and Joe's a scientist. And
Well,
that is probably very true. But I want to be in a less of a fucking COVID world. All right. So again, I'm not here to preach to you guys. Weekly, I think we do our best job to give you some free entertainment. And I love everybody that listens or pays attention. And I never try to push personal politics or anything on that. But I'm going to tell you right now, get the fuck out there. Get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, wear a mask. If you are vaccinated, maybe do everything you've got to do to make other people safe. That's all I'm going to say. Joe, if you want to add anything to it, I'll give you the floor for a second.
I mean, I usually do it every time, so you said it really well. Yeah, if you want some facts, a booster helps too. If you've already been vaccinated it's been over 6 months. Um, yeah, I mean, boosters help. I got some bad news the other day that not bad news in terms of being sick, but now that 3 and 4 year olds are the only group that 2 shots don't work on. So now my daughter can't get vaccinated. I'm, sweating it over the winter with Omicron and the daycare and trying to keep safe. So, you know, whoever gets vaccinated, the kids who can't get vaccinated will be safer. And, please get vaccinated because I don't want my daughter to get it.
Yeah, and you saw Joe's daughter. She's
Yeah.
beautiful. She doesn't even. That's the thing about all this shit is like, uh, I don't know. I don't know how you explain this stuff to your kid, Joe. I don't know how people
Yeah.
with kids explain this. I watched an interview the other day with Neil Young on Howard Stern. It was a little bit on YouTube, and I very much felt the same way Neil Young felt that like I'm very glad to be alive at this time in the world to have seen this, but I'm done with it. Like I saw it. I lived it for 2 years. Patrick's got his booster. Patrick. Again, not throwing him out there because I think he would tell you Patrick suffered great loss to this, fucking great loss, and I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of it, and I feel like on the first episode that we recorded for Penny Comics, which will be out like in January, I bring this up, and I'm gonna do it here, and then I'm gonna keep as quiet about it as I can, not to be preachy, but just fucking go do something about it. If you have friends that haven't done it, just remind them. Say, hey, look, get us out of the Stone Age while you can. Okay, we need people to get us there. Um, all right,
Yeah,
Joe.
and I'm lucky that I don't have any. We don't let unvaccinated people around my daughter. Everyone we know gets vaccinated, and we're very lucky that way that we have a friend group that's very good about it. And so I'm pretty thankful there. But it's still a lot of stress going into the winter and everything that's going on. So yes, please get vaccinated. So I appreciate that.
All right, Joe. Thank you. You have always every time you've been on the show, you've always kind of brought that up, and you are I call him the doctor and the scientist. Joe is a scientist, so he is a man that lives a life of logic, and he understands this stuff, and yeah. So I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to just get that out there. Again, I've been home from work for 2 days now. I feel much better. I don't think I had it. I'm waiting to find out if I do or don't. But I feel fine. But it's just like like how long are we going to do this for? It's insanity in my mind. So, Joe, what do you
And
give 1985? Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. One more
oh
time.
no, first off, we keep going on. Just and everybody, right? So I'm very lucky. I can work at home. So my daughter's in daycare. I'm stressing that, but I've been at home. I don't envision going to. I'm lucky enough to go to work. I don't think I ever want to go back to work. I'm like very lucky that I have to be able to telework. John is a public facing employee, right? And so it's just helpful to him. He's in under way more stress than I do. And also, right, it's just bad for everyone's mental health. The kids lost a year of school last year. It tore up the kindergartners, right? The older kids can make it. I see it. Some of my young nieces in first grade, and all the first graders are just didn't learn what they should have learned in kindergarten in terms of social interactions. So it affects everybody's mental health. Certainly affected my mental health. And so, let's get rid of this and be done. And it'll probably be endemic, but it'll be like seasonal, like the flu, and everybody gets vaccinated. I want to say, right, get the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, rubella. I don't know what the hell rubella is, right? Because I get vaccinated. No one gets it. I
Right.
don't know what it is. So, okay. Along with that, I really like this movie. I was surprised. Usually, I never know a hit. I didn't particularly care for Space Hunter. uh, this had a lot of good stuff. The storyline made sense, despite the ripping off, Blade Runner and Terminator. I guess the first time I watched it, I missed early on that the third council member, or whatever, already got vaporized, and so I spent the actual time really like, well, they're going to keep it, uh, you know, yeah, seriously, F fucking minus, seriously. Uh, and I kept thinking, well, they're going to keep it consistent that they kill the the ancestors that the people will get vaporized, and they did when the guy in the tanning bed. So as I missed it the first time, they kept it consistent, and it actually worked out, and it did, made a lot of sense that way. So I actually appreciated that. Uh, you know, this is the thing that I probably should, if I had more of these movies, I should watch, because they're all available. And I got to think about, remember what's at the video store that I saw the box for, and I realize now, Larry say basket case. I need to watch that next. But I think I'm with John. This is a 4, solid entertainment. Not too long. If every movie was 75 minutes, I'd crank out a lot more movies than I'm able to do. So
That's a good question, Patrick.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
that's
good
a good
question.
point. Yeah. No. So, there's always with time travel. There's always something you don't get. But yeah, I think most. So yeah, I'm a solid 4. I think this is solid entertainment. I don't know if I'm gonna watch. I don't know what you think of 2, but I don't know if I'm gonna watch 2 through. Yes.
Ice
Yes.
Pirates,
Probably Ice Pirates. I'm in.
space herpes. All right. So this has been a very special Christmas week, S.F.A. 80's, with myself and Joe. We talked about transfers. We talked about a lot of fun stuff. We talked about Arby's, and apparently most of your disdain for Arby's. We talked about fuck COVID forever. Go get vaccinated. Again, I try to say this all the time. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing to Pint of Comics. If you guys ever do listen to the podcast on Spotify now, you can go and rate podcasts. Go to the podcast and then just go to rate. And there's a 1 to 5 star thing. 5-star wouldn't hurt my feelings, but anything would be great. And the more of you that do
Five
that,
star wouldn't hurt your feelings.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't hurt my feelings. But if you think we're
Are
a
you gonna
3,
cry? That's good.
I'm saying if you think we're a
I'm
3,
kidding.
put a 3. I want to be honest. But the more of those you guys put on there, the more people get to see Pint of Comics out there, which is something we greatly want to do going into 2022. So Voodoo and Movies Anywhere allows you to give a movie watch pass to someone so they can watch a movie you own on digital. Okay, excellent. I thought Voodoo wasn't even a thing anymore, but very interesting. The more you cry, the more stars I'll rate. Well, then I will watch Saving. I will watch Saving Private Ryan until I'm a blubbering mess, and Sal can give me more stars. But seriously, we got some good stuff. I will go over it one more time coming up in the next week or so. First of all, yet again, reach out before the end of the day and say happy birthday to Scary Larry Dwyer. Don't forget to go to your favorite podcatching platform and listen to the current episode that John Peck is on, episode 220, Problem Child. Don't forget that Bilson created Rachel Bilson. I think that's very important. That's just the next in line of my pictures. Don't forget that this is the poster to transfers. And don't forget that this week's episode of Pint of Comics, episode 221, is Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, featuring this scene where a guy gets very gently murdered by a rope. Oh, thank you, Sal. I already rated. So for Joe, I'm John. Thank you very much, and have an awesome Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate. Do it your best. Be safe, and And I hope you get good stuff, and don't forget to give good stuff too. See ya.
See ya.